Oh man, and we are live on the
Good
YouTube.
evening.
There we go. So let's post this baby. How was your week though?
It was
Did,
I had a small red day on Monday, which was kind of a bummer because I was taking the fam to the range, so like I had to stop trading 45 minutes in, no chance to like try to make it back, and then small green every other day this week. Like so definitely nothing I'm gonna post on my fridge as Melnick would say, but overall I can't complain. I suppose.
no, it's kind of like if you survive, sometimes that's winning, and it's not even that you're like making a huge amount or whatever it is, or it's like what, I'm okay. I'm here to trade tomorrow. It's like yeah, I'm not where I want to be or whatever it is, but as long as you can hang out, as long
Yeah,
as you can actually like continue, you know.
yeah, and I think that like Jero said something really interesting today, which is that markets do go in cycles. And, it's like we talk about, oh, I've seen this movie before. And we're in that cycle where you just need to survive and like wait for things to get better. And I think that's the tough thing for newer traders is that this is, every environment is like a new thing to them. It's not like they haven't seen this before. So and I feel like we kind of have seen this before because we're that dip we were discussing earlier. We've been
Yeah.
through that before. So
And it happened it happened again like this slow market. When did it happen last? It happened, yo, what up? What's going on, Carl? How's it going? What part of PA? 'Cause I'm in Maryland right now. Like last fall was really like this, and there's a couple times when it's like this. And it's not just like going through it, because some people just survive and get through it, and then other people learn while they're in it to trade better in it next time. And then other people are like, you know what, whatever, this is going to end, and they just keep doing the same dumb stuff in the middle of it.
yeah, like I'm definitely taking a lot from Geronimo's approach to this. I like, oh great, we're range bound, so just like play ping pong within these like levels and stuff. And we might be doing that with Google or whatever, not the cues, but it's interesting to see his perspective on things and take away something from that.
Allentown, nice. I've been up near Allentown. We have a church I grew up in, has a church in Allentown, Pennsylvania, so I've been there. I haven't been there in a while, but yeah, it is interesting, and it's kind of helping me grow because you're not always going to have the ability to bend, but just knowing I can bend when I need to, like it's never going to be hard for me to just jump in and trade aggressively when the market's good. What's
Yeah, I
hard
mean
for
it's
me
easy to
is
flip
trading
that
selective.
switch.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
boom, here it is, and it's just like I don't even have to think about it. But trading like selectively is a difficult task.
Yeah, for sure. It's every bit as difficult and like taxing to sit around and wait and be patient.
I'm gonna throw this up in the WhatsApp. How's everybody doing? Yeah, man. How was y'all's week? If you're coming in, was it as long for you as it was for us, or at least felt long? Like even if you had a green week or whatever it is, it just kind of felt like it was like I don't remember Monday, almost.
Bro, I know you had to step out this morning, but I felt like by like an hour and a half to 2 hours in, it felt like it had been like 4 hours of trading, man. It was brutal.
I almost I'm glad I missed the morning. I probably would have lost in it overall. Yeah, a little cash. It did feel like a month. I know, like Rose had a long week. Um, we got to do like a four or five. That'd be a lot, but like a 4 or 5 guest host. Throw 4 or 5 pictures up here on the wall and have people on.
That would be fun.
I know Jr. said he'll come on next week, so
Sweet.
on either Wed on, obviously not Friday, you can't do that, but on Monday or Wednesday he's going to come on. So
That's awesome, Tennessee Bob. Congratulations.
that's great. Send it, Anya. Or should I make you wait? All questions have to be waited until I do the awesome, incredible intro. What up, Graf? From the bar stool, really? So you're at a bar and you're like, I'm going to listen to these two guys talk. I mean, I'm cool with that.
I mean, I feel like if we were in closer geographic proximity, it would be funny to do like the stream from a bar while we're having drinks.
That should. Oh, I'm just gonna come down to Puerto Rico and visit you, and we can actually do it from the beach, and then just like all the people that
Yes.
that do the fake, or it's not, well, the fake stuff. Like you get the Maserati or you get the car, and we can do just like a total comedy kind of routine on it.
Like parody.
Yes, and do like a show, like, and we'll rent a Maserati or whatever for a day, or some whatever fancy car, a Tesla, and sit on it and be like, paid for this today at the beach, just something stupid, just have fun with it.
Hilarious.
JR was funny. He was like, or when I said something, I'm like, yep, that's me. I do my YouTube shows and I just post the stuff. He's like, dude, you've got kids screaming behind you half the time when you're talking. That's like, that's the real, that's the real
That's as real
trader's
as it
life.
gets right there, right?
There's no trading from like an airplane and all this dumb fake stuff. People walking around with their laptop on top of a mountain.
Oh yeah, that's real deal.
For sure.
You're gonna make us do the intro before you give us your question, Anya?
Yeah, we've got to do the intro before we do it. You can't, it's not a real answer. Like anything we say before the intro doesn't count. So it's like it wouldn't be a good answer. It would just be bad. It would be bad advice. And that's Tennessee Bob. Like when I do that, even if I don't make as much, like when I know I traded smart and it was a hard market and I made out, like I feel pretty good about myself. What's up?
Hey, Stuart. Big options. Graph. Martin.
What's going on? Cheers. Let's kick this puppy off 7 minutes in. Um, yeah, tough week, long week. Felt like there was absolutely no action, and there was some to be made. Honestly, I mistraded. I talked about it last night. Overall, I thought there were plenty of opportunities, but you had to be selective. You had to pick them, and then once you took them, you kind of had to lay off and didn't wait for the next one. It was kind of my thoughts on the week. I've talked about it already, but I think we're going to talk about it a little bit more. General trading, what we're looking forward to in the future, taking your questions, and anything else you guys want to talk about. I'm Gator. This is C. This is CT. If you combine our facial hair, you get one awesome beard. So that means if you combine our opinions, maybe you'll get a decent opinion. Hope you enjoy hanging out with us for the Fireside Chat tonight. Welcome to the show. Dun, 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 dun. So first things first, my good sir. To you,
Cheers to you as well, my
team,
friend.
to the market. Oh, this is in, I don't know, in my opinion, this is what like bandit trading. So Anya can go ahead and ask your question, and while you're typing, unless you already have it typed out, I am going to uh, just a quick comment on the market. This is like bandit trading 101. Like this market is, I think, as hard as it is, if you're a bandit trader, and for those of you who don't know, most of you probably do if you're watching this, but if you're 30 minutes in, like if you just sit down, take one or two, three, four, whatever, five scalps, you get green and log off, like you're winning right now. Like you're good. The people that are trying to hit big numbers or to trade all day or to catch something in a move, like Tesla moved up at the end of the day, but the ATR was like $1 something. Like it moved like Apple crawling up, and I was like, "What is this? Like, I have never seen Tesla move up like this before. And what up? What up,
Is
JR in the
that
house?
Geronimo?
That
Sick.
is. JR's
Welcome,
in the
brother.
house. Welcome. Cheers, bandits. And so the bandits really are the people that's winning. The people that are losing, in my opinion, and myself included in this sometimes, are when people are trying to sit there and key up those home runs. And they're really looking for something that the market's not giving them. And they're not trading C strategies. They're not trading necessarily any strategies. They're just trying to make money. And they're so P&L focused, or what happened last week or last month focused, or what they really want to have happen in the market that they want in front of them, that they don't really have a game plan going into the bad market. Much love, man. You're the man. I appreciate everything you do for us. You're killer on
G
the mic.
Geronimo. You're awesome.
Just to him. So it really is, and it takes discipline. And you can't just go out and expect to buy something and to end green on it. Like there have been times when you could literally just log in and take a few trades in the morning, like 30 minutes in, and literally be good to go. And you could lock in your day there. Right now, it's not. Like if I trade in the first 5 to 10 minutes, I think 4 out of 5 days I was flat to red, which is a rarity. That's like 95% of the time that doesn't happen. I don't know how you are CT with that, but like it literally, you really have to be selective right now with what you do early in the day.
Oh yeah, my like the past couple of weeks, I've definitely been just chilling for like the first 5 to 10 minutes because that seems to be the time of day you can pretty consistently wreck yourself. So
And
yeah,
wrote
which is odd. I mean, we came up like with that whole like bandit philosophy of like let's lock in that money and just like bounce, but it's not like that right now at all.
what up, little curbster? Yeah, it's and who said it? Rose said it today, or maybe it was Mitchell, that were saying they were like, hey, at the at the beginning of the day, I think it was Mitchell, and then Rose said the same thing, that they've been starting off red, and so mentally they feel like they're behind, and they'd kind of been like either digging a hole, or just like feel like they're battling back. And Mitchell said he pretty much just didn't trade for the first, what up, Tori? For the first like 10 minutes of the day this week, sometimes, just to prevent himself from going red because there really weren't any good setups.
Yeah, there's no worse feeling than like being red early in the morning because then you feel like the pressure really is on to find a good setup and to take a trade. Whereas if you just start chilling and waiting for a really, really solid setup, you're able to be a little bit more patient, I think, than if you're, trying already to claw back 10 minutes into the day.
That looks very similar there. Sorry, I'm just looking at something to kind of see if I can see when a name was good because I wasn't here for the first part of the day to kind of answer Anya's question. So any of the guys in chat, so I'm gonna read Anya's question, and then I'd love to take any advice that you guys have. Um, so Anya asked, what advice would she give a noob trader starting out in this environment because the market seems to be changing a lot daily, and you're having a hard time adapting and trusting yourself to take a trade? And how do you recommend staying psychologically strong? So it's like a two-part question. I'll hit that first, and then CT, feel free to follow up, and anybody else that wants to throw something in the comments if you're a new trader and you're having a hard time, or if like you found success in this, what have you done? My first advice would be, first, know your strategies. So you're not necessarily trusting yourself. You know what you're trying to do, and you know the strategies that you're trying to trade. The problem with being a new trader, in my experience, is that you might not have the confidence in the strategies yet to take them. And if you don't have the confidence, I would sit there for 5 to 10 minutes, and if everybody's like, yeah, this isn't good, nothing's working, I don't like this, I'm not getting good PI, and you can kind of hear in the tone of our voice how the day's going and if we like a name or not, and that can allow you to kind of judge the day initially. Like, you can sit down, you don't actually have to trade for the first 15 minutes, the first 5 minutes. Wait what setup do you like the most, Anya? Like if I was asking you, like, hey, I really like, a Mark One and a good name, or a one and done and a good name. What gives you confidence? Is it when JR is like, hey, if the Qs bust through this level, we could rip up? If it's when someone's like, hey, if we get above yesterday's high, there's going to be some follow through. So you like the 1 minute 8 and 2 minute setups. So you like your green takes reds and when it hits a 1 minute 8. So you just wait and you already know if a name is strong or not. So you wait for that to kind of come to fruition, and then you get an idea of the market itself. And if everyone's like, man, this isn't like, I'm not liking this, like there's some plays that working, names aren't moving really well, maybe as a new trader you just step back and you're like, it's not great. I'm gonna take my sanity today, or I'm gonna paper trade. I'm gonna size down to one contract. Generally, I would say you shouldn't step away entirely unless you couldn't handle a loss, because you do want to build your confidence up and maybe take one or two trades, because you do want to learn and you want to actually trade. So you want to actually take something. You want to see maybe why something worked or why something didn't work. If all four of us like a name, like, I don't know, Tesla, AMD, something like that, and we're all calling it out and we're all looking for this next 1 minute 8 setup, then you could have, now obviously we could be wrong, but you could have an increased level of confidence, at least in just like, hey, I'm not the only person sitting here. So you have a few other people that are kind of putting that confidence on you, like, hey, it hit the 8. I kind of like this, or I don't like this yet. I'm going to wait for the next candle. And so just for the initial question, it would kind of be to take it slow in this environment, wait for a trend to set up during the day, and then if there are other people taking something and talking, like, do you like the setup yourself when you look at it? If you use stochastics, if you use, if you're just using the 8, is it did it hit the 8 on like two digestive bars going down? Has it been choppy? Is it moving really well up and then it kind of moves smoothly down and it hit it? And like, how's it moving? And I would kind of take all that into consideration, because we know when it's choppy and we know when it's not choppy, and we know what things kind of feel like when they feel good. And if you come here and you're like, this market just doesn't feel good, there's nothing wrong with not trading. And one of the best things you can do to stay psychologically strong is sometimes to just be like, I don't like this, and practice the discipline of staying away from something. I don't know if
I'll follow that if that's what you're
yeah, yeah.
leading to. Okay, cool. So yeah, I definitely agree, and I think that being in a group of traders who maybe have a little bit more of experience than you is great, because as Gator mentioned, you can hang back for a little bit and sort of listen to how we're doing and get a feel for the market and whether you want to tear down or tear up, like based on our analysis of how things are going. And then the other thing I would say is that all these, like Gator said, like you're going to stick around and you're going to practice at a small tier if that's feasible for you, because knowing the strategies is one thing. The next thing is to be able to recognize things that give those strategies more or less conviction, or market conditions that enhance or detract from the conviction of those setups. And that's something that, if you like the 1 minute 8 setups and you like the 2 minute setups, you might need to take several thousands of those before your brain starts taking in all the various like inputs of like, what are the Qs doing, how's the day been going overall. uh, there's a lot of things that you start to like soak in as you're doing trades, and eventually your brain's going to start recognizing that, oh, this confluence of like conditions makes my 2 minute setups work better, or my 1 minute 8s work better. And that's just experience. So probably the best way to preserve your capital so that you can get those trades in and get to that level is hanging back in a choppy environment like this, and deciding what your tier size is going to be based on sort of what your people in the group are doing. And then eventually in time you're going to be able to either add or detract conviction from your entries, and decide whether you want to take things based upon all these other conditions that are really hard to explain to a new trader, and really do take a lot of hours in the chair, as they say, to be able to soak all that in and act on those things.
And what was it last night's show? I mentioned like 10,000 hours, which is like, to be a quote unquote master of something. It's like whatever person kind of came up with that. So if you're actually going to spend like 10,000 hours, I said that that's 5 to 6 hours a day. I'm hitting buttons on my computer. What, 6 days a week or something like that? 5 days a week. So, 5 days a week, you need to spend 6 hours a day doing something. That doesn't mean actively trading. That means, practicing good psychological behavior towards the market. And there's nothing actually wrong with not trading, Anya. Like if you're too disciplined, there's no such thing as too disciplined in not trading. But if you're not taking setups and you're that over analytical person, maybe you just need to take one share. Like, I don't know if you're above or below PDT, if you're below PDT, but at some point you just have to bite the bullet when it's a good day, as it were, and just be like, hey, I'm going to take the setup. I'm just going to, I'm going to take the setup because this is something I like. And you just, like, at some point you have to trade. And that's, all there is to it is whatever conditions you need to feel comfortable trading, you're at PDT now. But you can trade, like you're exactly 25,000, or you're like, you've got a little bit of wiggle room there. Above, you're at, yeah, above or below. Anya's in Discord for those who are on here. If you're watching, you can join our Discord. Hit me up. I'll send you a link after. So you got some wiggle room. Okay, one contract. So one contract. We're not asking for your like whole P&L size, but go on there with one contract, and practice trading and just taking them and buying them and selling them. Like, hey, it hit the 8. It's ticking up. I'm going to buy it. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, sell. Something like that. Hey, it's going up. I like it. What up, Eddie?
What's up, Eddie?
The man.
Crew is here tonight.
Yep. And if you just have to practice. So if you have the room and you have it to do it, take size that's not going to hurt you. And practice the setups that you like so you gain confidence. Learn to watch the tape like Geronimo talks about during the day. And it's like what I talk about too. I didn't even know they had really 15-second charts. And like I just kind of, from watching it so much, it was like I would see it go up. I would kind of see it doing. And then when I started to see it kind of tick higher, you would just like get that realization, okay, this is kind of like starting to go up. And I can see things speeding up. And I would take a trade. Learn, you don't have to make money now, but you have to actually trade. Maybe do a name like Apple or Facebook or something really smaller. Usually when it depends. I'm looking at both of them because it's so close together. Like I'm not totally focused in on it. I'm kind of just looking at it, generally speaking. I'm not like hard focused with my face like right on the screen. I'm watching generally the bid or the ask, and then I can see the prints like speeding up or slowing down next to me.
Yeah, so Anya, the thing to remember when you're watching level 2 and reading tape and all that is that typically on most platforms, when you see a bunch of green prints, that means that asks are getting taken out. So the asks in the right-hand column of your level 2 are getting taken out, which is going to generally push the stock or underlying up. And if you see a lot of red prints, that's prints going off at the bid, which means that stuff in the left-hand column is getting taken out. And if there's enough of that happening in the tape, which is the prints column, then that can actually push the price of the security up or down. So it's kind of, I think we should we should do like a show specifically focused on the nuances of that probably at some point, Gator, but that's what you need to realize about the print box and the colors and everything, what's actually going on there and how a price gets pushed this way and that way. So, but yeah, if you're like going long, you typically want to be focused on the ask. If you're going short, you typically want to be focused on the bid, and you can use what's happening out of the corner of your eye in the prints column to sort of gauge which direction things are being pushed.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different things that you take into effect that only sitting in front of the screen and trading is gonna like get you the feel of. It was kind of like in Tesla today when it was sitting still at the end of the day, and it's got like an ATR of $1 or something. It's like I know I can't make money in that. Like I'm not even gonna trade it. Like I know it's gonna sit there for 30 minutes and bounce around, and I'm gonna take 30 to 50 front run losses in it every time it ticks up, and then I'm not going to take it, and it's going to pop, and I'm going to try to catch the follow through, and then I'm going to lose, and I'm going to throw my TV or my computer. And that's not like legitimately what's going to happen. But the Russian bots. But
Finally.
yeah, that means I've made it. And it just takes time and practice. So I wouldn't say to a new trader avoid this market. I would say learn to be intelligent in this market. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with like not trading when it's tough. But I think you do need to find names that are trending, and practice trading them. Even if you're just trading the cues and you're just getting used to buying and selling and taking some stuff, like it's a good thing to do. And yeah, Eddie did a. If you're in the T3 T3 live room, Eddie did a video on tape reading. You can literally go watch that. It's really good. It's in your portal, and I'm sure Eddie or Geronimo could show you where it's at. So you could go watch that and learn some about tape reading, but I could definitely do a video on it too. And so I hope that kind of answers your question, but the advice would be to stay smart, learn how to don't overtrade, but trade some. If you like a setup, take a few of them. Think about the market conditions. Were the cues going down when you were going long? What was happening that made that trade fail or that made that trade work? Were all of us looking to take the same trade, or were we all like, I don't know, this sucks. This name's not trading well. Booth saying this is bunk, and everybody else like this ain't it. What's happening overall, and get that feel for it, and then that's where when the market gets better, you'll kind of do that. And then somebody asked me about Bollinger Bands. I don't use Bollinger Bands at all. I put these on here for a few names, looking for like swing trade stuff and longer time on a daily. I don't use Bollinger Bands in my trading. Personally, I haven't found a use for them where I can easily make money. I'm sure there's something out there. I just haven't found it yet. Yeah, and feel free to message us anytime if you're having a hard time or anything, as anything's going on that you want specific stuff on. I'll review what you sent me here, Jess, in a bit. Small account trader video. That was a decent one, but thanks. And the live stuff, like when I do live videos and stuff, I don't know if CT, like if you record your screen, if you ever want to come on and I could just share your screen and you could record live trades, like especially when you started watching the tape and it told you what to do. We could definitely do some, we could actually do some trade reviews.
Yeah, I think I need to start doing that. I have been slacking with my screen recording since switching platforms, since it hasn't been such a necessity. And yeah, I think that really is useful if we can like slow down and scrub back and forth through things happening. So I'll start doing that this week so we can have some material to work with.
So what was your best thing, CT, this week? Like your number one advice to yourself, if you could look back to Monday and be like, tell yourself something before it started for the week, what would it be?
Probably to tear down like the second I get up a decent amount of money. But you know, it's on any given day. How do you know what you're going to consider a decent amount of money after just a couple trades? So I definitely had a few days where I was up good, and then like immediately gave back, most of that, and then like did a bunch of yo-yo type stuff. And the I'm not sure how I would manage that better in like in retrospect, because other than just tearing down like the second I'm up like a decent amount of cash. And it was an interesting week. Like there was a lot of yo-yoing going on, and I had one red day, and but a lot of the other days I was green to red to green to red like a few times, which is not a very common thing that I have happen under most market conditions. So I think that speaks to how challenging things have been this past week. Um, that's not much of an answer, I
No.
suppose, of advice, but just reflecting back, it was a really tough week, and I'm happy to have come out ahead.
Do you think you'll actually, if you take that, will you actually go into next week and take that advice?
I think I will tear down as soon as I like get up some money, just because until I have confirmation that things are improving in terms of market conditions, I think I'd rather play it safe than have that psychological roller coaster of like up and down, which is a little bit annoying. And I think the other thing that I'm not, I feel like I tend to do better in the mornings under these conditions if I'm kind of like picking my own setups and not listening to call outs, because typically on a call out, like you haven't watched things develop as much as, when you're watching a particular, watching all these things happen and then deciding the right time, like a call out, you jump over to a name and, you didn't have time to like watch before it triggers. And that's probably the thing I would do differently is like steer clear of call outs unless I have like a few minutes to watch things evolve before entering.
Hmm.
Because I did like give like in the mornings, like I'd be up a good amount of money and then just like boom back to like flat after jumping into a call out or something. And I think under these particularly challenging conditions, it's important to be watching a name for a short period of time before you jump into it. Would be my, I guess that's my number one takeaway.
Mm. The call outs weren't as effective this week. They
Well,
really
and it's
weren't, though. Like, even
yeah, I
mine,
don't
like,
know.
it was a harder week for stuff like that.
And it's just I feel like you're able to more intelligently enter and exit a position when you've been watching that setup for a few minutes. Whereas like when a call out happens, sometimes you pull up the name, pull up the contracts, and maybe you have a minute or less to really like assess everything that's going on, what the name's been doing. Whereas if you've been watching a name for a few minutes or all morning, you have a better feel for when exactly is the right time to get in and out. So this might be the environment not to jump into something until you've had a chance to watch it for a minute or more than a minute.
And that goes to something we've both pushed, and I know Eddie and JR have talked about it, and something I think is very important, so I'm going to throw this out um, right now. It's you have to know the reason that you're trading and taking a trade and what you're looking for. You can't just be like Geronimo says the Qs are going down here, so I'm going to take 100 puts and let's see what happens. And 15 minutes later, it's running up, and he's like, "Oh no, that failed, and I'm out." Like, you need to understand and know what's happening, why it's happening, why you're taking a trade. You need to be able to watch and identify, like, if, and we talked about it with Kelly before in his strategy and the stuff he does. It's like I do some of his stuff sometimes, but I don't do them off of his call outs. It's more like I was looking at the name, it hit that same level. I have my own indicators, including the stuff like Kelly is talking about, or Geronimo's talking about, like a shooting star reversal into, a moving average or something. It's like, oh, I know what that looks like now. Okay, and that coincides with a stochastic setup in Google, which is also hitting VWAP and 200. There's a good chance I get a rollover here. Let me take a few contracts. Like, when I'm taking a trade, I know the reason I'm taking a trade, and I'm not throwing money at nothing. Like, I mean, when you're bending, you are, but I'm not just being like, okay, here, and and this is going down no matter what. It's like I have an idea of what I want to have happen in that specific time. And I think as traders, we actually have to practice, and as people listening to us on the mic, like, I can be wrong, and CT can be wrong, and Booth can be wrong, and Rose and other people. And just because one of us, or JR or Eddie, like one of us could be saying something, we're just giving you what we're doing and an idea. And then if you're looking at the same thing, like, good, then there's some confidence for you. There's like, hey, I'm not the only person looking at this. They see something too. And you get that kind of collective idea of this name is working. I can get this. But just because I'm taking the 930 Tesla calls and Booth is taking the 900 Tesla calls, there's no guarantee that either one of those are going to work better for you. There's no guarantee that the strategy is going to work great for you. You should never really blindly follow us into options, into a strategy, into anything. Like, when JR says something sometimes about like, oh, the Qs are doing this, like sometimes I take the trades and sometimes I don't. Just because he says it doesn't mean I'm jumping in and running into a trade. Just because like Eddie likes a 5 minute breakout, or Booth likes a 5 minute breakout, or like CT likes trading Amazon. Like I don't usually trade Amazon until the afternoon. Like Rose might be making 5 figures in it in the morning. I generally don't trade it unless there's a specific reason to trade it. I know Mitchell trades it a lot. It's just not something I'm necessarily comfortable with trading. And as I'm learning and as I'm developing, I'm doing different things and I'm growing. But I'm not just blindly following anybody. I know the C strategy I'm looking for. I know, generally speaking, the options I like. I like really out of the money options. Sometimes I go for $2, $3, $4 spreads. It doesn't bother me, depending on the day and the market. What up? Other
Up,
people
Sophia?
other people don't. Other people like really tight spreads. So just because I say I like something, I might like it because of what I'm looking at. I've got my idea for a trade, the amount or the trade I'm trying to get, what I think is going to happen in the option because I've been trading it for this long, the PI I've been getting. I know my risk reward. I might be up 20. I'm not up. I wouldn't be up this, but it's just hypothetically speaking. I'm up 20 grand on the day, and I've sized down to 5 contracts or 2 contracts and something. I'm like, yeah, I like this for a breakout here, but I like it for 2 contracts. I don't have time to tell you I'm taking 1 share or 10 shares, you know, and then you're like, oh man, I'm down something. I'm going to try this one. I'm going to get it all back. And you're throwing into something just based off somebody saying a call out, or somebody, somebody else likes this or might like this strategy. If you yourself don't have confidence and don't actually understand the trade you're taking, you shouldn't be taking it. Like it's almost a like guaranteed loss because you don't understand what you're doing. I don't know how to explain it other than like, like watching somebody fix a car on YouTube and then just putting it up on a jack and being like, okay, I'm gonna drop this motor and put a new one in. It's like it doesn't work. Like that's like, I fix cars kind of like that sometimes, but you mess up a lot, and then you're just going to end up taking it somewhere else and having somebody else fix what you messed up. And if you go into trades completely blind and just without really getting a picture of why it's happening, why I want to take this setup, I'm not just throwing money to make money back. This is a good trade. I'm comfortable with this. I understand what's happening. I see what Geronimo sees there, and I like it too. CT is watching Facebook. I like that. I like how it's trading. It's moving like this. I like that option. Okay, I'm going to try this one. And you have all those other things there. So just to go off of CT's point, is you really have to gain that confidence in callouts. And us on the mic, we're helping. We're possibly giving you conviction, but we're not like you should never just blindly follow us into anything.
Yeah, I mean, adding to that, we're not taking swing trades lasting, hours or days here that you can just, oh, I'm going to hop into this and hold it, for however long. We're doing really quick scalps most of the time where, if you're a half a second behind us getting in or getting out, you might not succeed on a trade that we succeeded on. So it's very important that you're able to execute trades on your own without guidance. And had something else, but I lost my train of thought. Yeah. Oh, and so I know sometimes we get comments from people about, oh, I wish you guys would call out setups more and stuff like that. And really, this is like particularly with me, I don't tend to call out like setups so much as I tend to talk about things that I'm watching that I like or dislike. And what I'm trying to do with that is help you understand why, where you might want to enter or exit something if you were thinking the way I was thinking. So, like, typically when you hear me talking, oh, I'm watching this to see if it rolls over here, see how it's going to react to this level. Like, take a minute and watch what's going on there and think, how could I use this to, to as an entry for a Mark 1 or a 2-minute green takes red, or how could I have what the Qs are doing here, add conviction or detract conviction from a particular setup I'm taking. So when you hear us talking about analysis like that, pay particular attention to that, I would say, because that's like what's going on in our OODA loop. It's like learning when we enter or when we exit is really not super useful. What is useful is learning how our brains are working and processing these things so that you can find your own process to be successful.
Yeah, and when and here's one way I use it when give me a second. Someone asked a question. When so let's say I like I'm looking for a Google short, for example, or long, and somebody's talking or it's like CT comes on. He's like, I'm looking for Google at this level to possibly roll over, or it's like it's coming up to VWAP. I want to see what it does there, and then me as another trader, I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, it is coming up near VWAP. That's a good warning. Let me make sure I'm looking at that one. And then I look, I'm like, oh, the 1 and the 2 minute stochastics are up at the top. Let me check the Qs. Oh, the Qs are up near something. And Geronimo's on the mic saying, oh, the Qs might go down. Um, like this could be a level. If they fail this level, I'm looking for a short-term rollover. I'm like, oh, so if I get a breakdown on the Qs and they fail this level, I could get some follow through to the downside on an Amazon, a Google, on Tesla, on a name that might also be hitting a little bit of a resistance level. Okay. Which name do I like to trade? Which names I made money in today? How are the options? Have I traded any of the option contracts? All right. So I'm going to, and I think we did it at the end of the day. Like we called a few Google trades out and made a little bit. And it was, I was like, okay, they're hitting this level. All right, it's going down. Yep, this is a good entry right here. I'm gonna take this one. All right, I'm up. I'm out. And you can see them happen. And there's this all this information that's kind of coming in that the market's giving you, all these different indicators, like other people seeing certain things, different chart patterns that are lining up, if the tape's heavy, if it's going really fast, if it's going really slow, if it's moving up on decreasing volume. Like there's so many different things you can kind of look at and get a feel for how the market is. And when you have people who have traded as much as like Geronimo has and who are as good as that, and then you have, different people with different strategies and different skills, and Eddie who's saying he likes this, or oh hey, it's about to hit this level, and all that stuff's happening at the same time, you can be like, huh, okay, I'm not saying I want to bet my day on this move, but okay, I see what they're saying. I understand what's happening here. Let's see if it breaks down. I'm going to give it a try. Okay, I gave it a try, and now this happened or this didn't happen. And that's kind of how I approach using. Um, that's kind of how I approach using the other people on the mic, because I get a ton of value from like CT, from Boo, from Rose, from Geronimo, from Eddie, from the other guys that are on the mic, Mitchell, that are talking. And that's how I use them. I'm not like what CT was saying. There are some times when the market's hot, like I like this, and you could just jump in it. But right now, I'm using them to make me money by taking what they do and adding it to what I do. And kind of it's going alongside it. And I'm like, oh, that's like Anya was saying, how do I get like, I had a choppy week all week. So it's like, well, how do I get that kind of confirmation for that good trade? Well, if me and 4 other people are looking at the same thing, like, okay, there might be something here. All right, I'm going to try this. It gives me that little bit of extra confidence to take a trade and to, accept it. That's how I use the other traders around me to make money. And I'm not blindly following anybody. I'm not just like, oh, the Qs might be bearish today, so I'm going to take puts and I'm going to hold them all day, or vice versa. Like, we're scalpers. And if I am down in a trade, I'm either, like, I'm out of it. Like, I don't like being red in trades. So if I'm red, I don't hold through red. I just take a loss. And I generally now, I'm not bending back into trades. I don't know, CT, I think you could speak to this week. My win rate in bending back into a trade to try to catch the next move after I missed it, like I probably had like an 80% lose rate this week if if I missed a move and then tried to catch it the second time or something.
Yeah, I don't think this is the environment to try to catch like the follow through on things if you miss the initial entry.
Yeah, that was it. It was like if you didn't catch the entry, you were done 1432. Any questions in YouTube chat while I
Yeah,
look at this?
Sufyan. Yeah, if you want to pull up that chart, Sufyan. Yeah, I think that sometimes I reflect on how impossible this job would be if you tried to do it solo. Like uh, this business of like having a group of people to keep you out of trouble and to sort of keep you grounded and give you perspective on what's happening is so valuable. And like what you're saying, like if everyone's behaving defensively, it helps you to retain your cool and to act with more prudence than you might otherwise do. And in addition to the obvious other benefits of like finding things that you might not be looking at because you're too focused on a particular thing. So were you able to find that, Gator?
Yeah, he's talking about this strategy. There's actually no strategy. Let's see. What am I doing? 2-minute chart, sorry. So there's no... There might be... What am I doing? What's wrong with this stupid thing? Sorry, this is spazzing out on me. So there's no specific strategy, and this is going to take me in, unless there's a green takes red here. It's the only strategy. 32. So as far as C strategy, there's a green takes red. So the 2-minute strategy here is the green takes red on Tesla. And I've noticed something that CT said too. Tesla often moves when the stochastics get to the top is when you get your bust outs. Like when it's in the middle, it chops around more, even if it's going up. And then when it gets to the top is when you get your violent moves. I've started to notice that. So I've been waiting for it to get up there, like, and then take a setup as a random note.
And that's another thing where the way Google stochastics work might not be the same as the way like Tesla stochastics work. And again, like this is hours of watching charts and watching all your indicators, starting to realize that every name has its own personality, and it's really have to put in a lot of time to be able to recognize those things. Yeah, that's all I'm seeing is the green takes red too.
Yeah, and you maybe got a green takes red in the Qs too. But this isn't a good trade necessarily unless you're just taking every green takes red in Tesla. Like, I don't remember. Maybe somebody called something out that made this happen or that was like good here. But you basically, it's kind of going up and then it goes down. It hits a moving average. You have a green takes red that works on the 2-minute. You get another, you get another red candle and you take the 2-minute breakout and you could catch that. That's all I see there to answer your question. That is a green takes red 2-minute. And you could do this in Tesla and make money for most of the day. So if you only trade the 2-minute chart in Tesla, you're going to take some losses like the ones in here. You're probably going to lose that. You could see this like it didn't really go. There's a good chance you take some losses. But mostly speaking, especially if you're in a trend, the green takes reds on the 2-minute. Like you can scalp 10, 20, 30, 40 cents in something, which is something I've had to do this week, is accept what the market gives me. So there are days when I make 3 to 4 points a trade. And it's hard when I stop doing that because I still have the expectation in my mind, whether I admit it or not, of doing that and thinking like that's what a good trade is. That's just the market conditions when I took a good trade. As a trader, and if you guys have done this for a while and a good trade does not always pay you the same. And I get in the habit of thinking a good trade means a point plus. And if I don't make a point on a trade, it's not a bad trade, but like, that didn't really work. Guess what? If you're just getting 20 cent, 40 cent wins, and you're just piling them up, you can win. 40 cents is a good win. Like, that can be a good win. Even on 10 contracts, $400, or 5 contracts, $200. That's a good win. You sat there and you made that amount of money. In a normal job, you could be doing that. And you would be happy if you sat there and you just clicked the button and made $200. Every trade on a different day every trading day is not created equal, and your profits on a good trade are not always going to be the same. And for the new traders out there or the people that are struggling, you got to accept that. You got to accept that a good day trading is not always the same P&L. A good day trading one day might be $1,500, and the next day you traded the same and it was just better and you made 10,000, and then the day before that you traded really well and there was just some things that didn't work and you lost 2,000. And all those days you took good trades.
I think that's like one of the hardest things to accept as a when you're learning this craft is that when you have a really good day and you did really well, you can't help but think like, oh, geez, if I could just do this every day, like I'd be crushing like so hard. Wow, imagine if I did this every day. And really, that's not the way this job works. Like, you can trade, poorly on a really good day and make a ton of money, or you can trade really well on a hard day and make a whole lot less money. It's and you really need to wrap your head around the fact that you can't come into the market with expectations in the morning. You really need to take what the market gives you because we are near, you know, small fish in a very big ocean, and we got to take what we can get.
Yeah, you can't. You're not always going to catch the biggest fish. You're not always going to have a bigger P&L than the next day. Like I might, like Booth said in I think on the video last night when he was talking or in chat, he was like, I traded drunk one day and made like I don't know 5 grand or something like that. Like, was he good trading then, or did he just sit down and smash some calls when Tesla was running up? When a blind monkey could make if you gave a monkey hotkeys, he could take a trade, and it really good good trading does not always equal the same P&L. And like CT said, that is one of the hardest things you have to learn as a new trader. Is because you made less doesn't make that day a bad day, and doesn't make you a bad trader. And you can't judge your day off of that. And that's one of the reasons I don't like looking at money, and I don't like looking at what my now I don't like having goals necessarily to the long side. I just like to trade well, and then I just stop when I kind of realize, oh wait, I'm green, or I hit this amount of money. But it's like if you have this $1,000, $2,000 goal, not that that's bad, but now you're money focused, and you might not have $3,000 if that's your goal in the market to make that day. There might not be $500 to make if that's your goal that day. You don't know. You just have to trade smart and rack up consistently intelligent trades. And you might have a day when you can't make any of them, or when you lose on good trades and the setups aren't working and you're not getting follow through. On those days, instead of doubling and tripling down and sizing up and smashing things, you should actually scale back. You should walk away. You're like, I know I'm trading good. This worked yesterday. Why isn't it working today? Screw this. Next time it hits, it's got to go. At some point, this strategy has to work, and it's gonna blow through the roof. And I'm gonna catch it 30 contracts this time. And instead of taking the hey, market's a little off, choppy conditions today, we're range bound, we're not breaking out. No, it's gonna break down here. It's at that level. It's gonna break the level this time. I'm catching a 2-point move or whatever it is. Or maybe you don't, and maybe you blow out, and then maybe you just wreck your day and your week and your month and your year. And you could be trading good and the market could just be bad, or you could just need to trade a different strategy, and instead you should just be like, hey, I'm going to settle in. I'm just going to I'm just not trading well today, or the market's just not working. I'm going to step back. I'm going to size down. It's not going to trade. I'm going to come back tomorrow. This isn't working. It was working yesterday. Market's crazy today. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go have some fun. I'm going to go do something else. You really have to keep perspective. You get it.
So AB, I think you're referring to this is in Discord chat
off.
that when I was starting to gain consistency, I tried to make a set of rules for myself to sort of keep myself from getting into trouble on days which are difficult. And once I realized that I was winning pretty consistently, what I would do is
Mic
if
on.
I had like 3 legit losing trades in a row, it was time to like pack it up for the day and just call it a day. And this, where the question always comes up, oh, is that front run losses? What is this? If that's like 3 substantial losses, like a legit losing trade that really went against you, not like, oh, I front ran and had to chuck it for like a tiny loss or whatever. But I think that that might be something that will work for new traders once they start to develop some consistency, but they're not really good at gauging market conditions. Just like look at your win rate percentage and figure, wow, for me to really lose 3 or 4 trades in a row, this is not in line with my historical performance. So the market is not conducive today. So you just back it up and like preserve your capital, come back the next day. If you want to hang out and watch the market, that's great. A lot of people can't do that. I'm one of those people who has a hard time watching and not getting sucked in. But the sometimes making a set of rules for yourself, I printed it out and made it so I could visually look at it and hold myself accountable. So that's something I'll try to share that in chat at some point, maybe the next week. But if you're very consistent with your wins and you start taking 3, 4 losses on a day, you need to start questioning what's going on. Like, are you not really taking good setups, or are you taking good setups and they're not working? And if so, maybe this is the day to shut your system down and go do something you enjoy.
And has the market reversed? Like, did we hit a resistant level and now we need to go down? It's like, how many times do we get caught getting wrecked in Tesla because we sized up? It's like, oh, it hit this level, oh, it's going to break through and keep going. Yeah, sure, it might, but maybe you just need to change what you're doing. Maybe, like, oh, maybe you need to let the market digest. Maybe you need to miss a breakout so you can see if it wants to break out and follow through. And then you can continue to play it if it was a good day and you're losing. So once you start losing, maybe this is because I said the other thing was the hardest. Maybe this is the second hardest thing to do as a new trader, is to accept that, like, it's not a hit on your ego or you personally when you start losing, and like it's okay, and just to stop and to sit back and to do something else, to try something different, to wait 5 or so minutes and let a name go up or down without you, and then wait for the next good setup on a larger time frame maybe. Just because you just made, pick a number, whatever's a big number to you, a grand or more, 5, 10, whatever, in Tesla, doesn't mean the next trade is going to give you that same amount. And it's, if you start losing, something's changed. Instead of just being like, no, the next time it's not going to change, how about you try to figure out what's changed? You don't do another trade. It's like CT saying with his 3-strike rule type thing. What's it actually doing for him? It's actually helping him, like, something's changed in the market or something's changed in this name. Like, I need to reevaluate what's going on here. Not, I need to double and triple down and size up and, it's going to work this time. Like, I'm losing 3 strikes. I've got to change. And it's just kind of that click in the back of your head, I assume, that can wake you up.
Not that I got to make back these front run losses. So I'm going to stick to it until it works.
It's like, it doesn't matter. No matter what, I'm just going to take. When was it? Tesla was going sideways this afternoon, and Rhodes was like, it's been here for like 45 minutes. I'm like, so that's like 45 front runs. Losses, because it was just sitting sideways. Like this little crap right here. Just
brutal.
It's like, what? It's like, why?
Then you get like a big pop that makes you want to like watch it again, and you get sucked into another like consolidation pattern. It's so bad.
It's like,
have a good one, Eddie.
Later, Eddie.
Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man. It's like this. You're like, boom, big run up. Okay, Tesla's going through yesterday's high. Consolidation. Drop up, and then, okay, here we go. Nope. You didn't take it. Oh, I missed it. Okay, it's going to go here. Nope. Consolidation. This is the breakout. I bought and I held and I didn't sell the pop. Nope, I lost on that trade. Boop, boop. And that's what the market can do to you. And like somewhere in here, I don't know, at some point, if you were losing in all of this, you should have just been like, not today, guys. Like, it can go without me, I guess. And just accept it.
Rotate to a different name.
Yeah, rotate to a different name. Like, stupid Google. Which was just going up. This was so annoying at the end of the day, man. Like, it's like, I missed this. Like, you entered down here. I didn't take it. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to wait for the stochastics. It's like, maybe right here. But instead of taking the Mark 1 here, it's not even a Mark 1 maybe, but instead of taking this, I was like, I'll wait. And then it was like, nope, you don't get a chance. I was like, okay, I'll wait and I'll try it like I don't know, down here. Maybe it goes through highs. Nope. Maybe it goes now. Nope. And we're done. I was like, this stupid name. uh,
Yeah, it wasn't giving us a lot of entries on that run up there.
no, and I can't chase that name. And if you guys don't know, like, I almost have like a 90 something percent lose rate when I chase, when I'm using like the stochastic strategy, or especially in Google or in names like Amazon where you have the spread. It's your timing for your entry and locating like those shooting star reversals and everything matching up with the cues and the resistance or support points for your entries. Like if you miss those, the trade's done. Sure, you could chase and yeah, you get lucky. And maybe that's the 5%, but I'm not joking when I say I have roughly a 90% lose rate when I chase in this name. So just as a random, that's why I didn't chase here. Like in Tesla, I would have totally chased the crap out of this when if it started doing this. Um, but I can't chase in Google because I just lose in it all the time. You got to know the names that you're trading.
You know, something that I've noticed this week is that since we've got so much time between trades, it it really gives you time to like reflect on your process. And I catch myself very frequently stopping myself from taking trades, specifically to do something that we've been talking about a lot in the past weeks, Gator, which is develop good habits and not reward myself for doing things that are bendy in an environment that isn't really paying to do that. And so really thinking about like the reward system in the brain, the dopamine, all that stuff, and how like uh, I really do think that being disciplined in your trading, even if it means missing some trades, more is better for your long-term success, because you really are building good habits that are going to pay in the long run, and you'll be able to tear up more with conviction, because you're going to know that you're not trading sloppily, or you're chasing and getting paid for it.
Yeah, it's like I mentioned on last night's show. Some of it might be what you're saying is that really is rewarding yourself for bad behavior is like fueling it like a drug addiction or whatever that's eventually going to blow you. That's eventually going to come, and what I say, the chickens are going to come home to roost. And if you create bad habits and you reward yourself for catching this trade or something like that when it wasn't actually good, like sure, you're going to get away with it. But man, when it comes home, you're not going to be able to accept, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's acceptance. You're not going to be able to accept the loss because you got away with it so many times before. And maybe that's why you dig yourself in a hole. And maybe that kind of answers Anya's question to an extent. Like, why do some people have like fat green days, and why do some people have fat red days? Well, we're not all trading the same. We're all doing different strategies. Some of the same strategies, but we're doing some different things. Um, and we might be doing different names. We might be entering at different points, taking different tier sizes. And some people might just be doing a bunch of hyper scalps and making money. Other people might be holding and losing. There are people that trade the more intraday chop really easy. Other people that just bend into names and are trying to get follow through in names to make money, and there's no follow through to be had, so you're losing. So there's just a wide variety of trading styles and individuals and personality types, and your nervousness for entering a trade. You entered 10 seconds later than me, and you lost. You didn't get the PI that I got, so you lost. Like, there's so many different factors that kind of go into having a successful trade that, me and CT trade fairly similar, but he could be up and I could be down trading the same name sometimes, just depending on how we're trading it that day. And maybe we didn't sleep good the night before. Maybe, I was up and he got a good night of sleep, so instead he's coming in and he's got a clear mind and he's seeing things and he's entering it before me, and I'm lazy and sloppy because I'm tired and like I'm not taking the right setup, and I'm slower on the trigger and slower on the sell. You could have a lot of stuff like that that actually will affect your trading. You didn't eat a good breakfast, you didn't have your coffee, or whatever else it is. you got in a fight with your spouse before you sat down, and now you can't think straight, and you got something else on your mind. There's so
Yeah,
many.
even the smallest distraction or impediment to you performing at your fullest can snowball, especially when you start going red and you get frustrated. So I think that's people when they have really huge red days, they tend to not be thinking as clearly as they could be under different circumstances. And so rather than step back and really be analytical about what they're doing and behave in a rational manner, they are frustrated and double down on something that might not be working. In addition to everything that Gator said, that would be my 2 cents.
Yeah, all those things can kind of definitely play a part and play an effect on how you're trading. I hope that answers the Tesla question on that one, though, and everything else. That's what that trade was. Shooting star reversal, yeah. Geronimo calls it out a lot in the T3 live room. You could look up the chart pattern. I guess I could show it really quick while we're here.
Yeah, Google shooting star candlestick pattern.
Google is the best for everything. Images. Here you go. What's wrong with this?
So some
No.
people will call this like a hammer bar AB and
Yeah.
or an inverse hammer.
Inverse hammer.
So when big wick on top of a small body at the top or bottom of a range, the wick pointing in the opposite or in the direction of the trend.
Mm-hmm.
And then a reversal when we see that typically.
So if we were like looking at this on a chart, I don't know. I'm just gonna. Geronimo can look at this later and tell me that I was an idiot. You know, let's see if I can find a good one. Here you go. Like maybe down here. I don't know if this would really be one because I'm just randomly going to a spot. This might not be enough of a range, but like a candle like this, like it's kind of going up and going down. You got this and then goes up off of it. This might be better here, actually, because this is probably a range or a level here. So I think what you would probably have is something like that, where it's kind of failed this level and it goes up and then tanks. Same thing back up here. That's a different candle. I'm not an expert by any means in chart patterns. It's not really something I do. This might be it. Something like this. Like if the Qs go down and hit like this, down here at the bottom. Got this little wick here. But I'm not an expert when it comes to chart patterns and stuff. It's not really something I do. I recognize a few of them that I know how to make money on, but generally speaking, it's not it's not something I employ regularly. I am trying to employ it more often now in this type of market just so I can learn because I can't bend and make money. So if I'm going to sit here all day, I got to do something, right? So what I do is I try to learn and kind of adapt and see things that are happening in these range bound days so I can continue to make money as a trader and adapt as a trader to the market conditions. Because here's a fact, like I can make any prediction I want to about next week. I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. And here's the fact, nobody else actually does either. So why, like I don't know when I'm going to be able to bend into names and make money. So I'm going to learn while I'm in this market how to trade this market and try to grow and adapt. So when this market comes back around after the next good bending session, I'll be like, hang on, I can't bend. I'm gonna look for these setups. I'm gonna look for these patterns in the cues. I'm gonna look for this happening and these range breaks in the something on the 15 5-minute chart. I'm gonna start watching things like that.
And as Geronimo typed here in YouTube, for those in Discord, a shooting star reversal requires exhausted move and resistance or moving average. So much more eloquent than Gator and I can hope to explain at this point.
So basically, you are overexhausted going to the up or the down. You get that it's hitting, let's say, the 200 or something like that, and you get that candle pattern when it's smashing into a moving average or a resistance level, and you get that big wick and like an inverse hammer or something like that, and then it goes. And then it goes. I see one right there on your chart, actually, I think.
Are you looking at my chart?
Yeah,
Are
what
we
you were
looking?
just at. That might be one too.
The Yeah, I'm struggling to find like a just a like a textbook
Yeah.
version. I'm seeing a lot of like of good examples, but I'm not seeing like a textbook example.
Yeah, maybe the top of Tesla right there.
Like right here, which
Yeah.
is
Let me go to your screen on here. Geronimo.
even this I don't think is textbook, but
No. But either way, so it's something like that. Basically smashing into a level and then having a large candle or thing off the top of it going, and then you break down.
and so I mean essentially you can see we've got an up move here, and in terms of exhaustion, it keeps popping up into, I'm sure there was a level here. This is yesterday, and this is just marked as yesterday's high, I think. But it's popping up into this area and rejecting and popping up and rejecting and popping up and rejecting, and finally the trend reverses. So not textbook example, but an example nonetheless.
228. Kirby saying look at 228.
1 minute chart.
What do y'all got any thoughts or questions about the week? I know we've been going for a little bit, and we are just kind of just hanging out and talking. We didn't have anything specific on our mind. It was a choppy week. It was kind of blah. I'm so glad it's over. It felt like a year or a month all in a week
Yeah,
almost.
this felt like a really long week for sure. Like, yeah, brutal week.
Yeah, I felt like I just couldn't. Like there were plenty of times I come in, I'm like, this is easy, this is pretty good, like or I'm good, I can make money or whatever. I felt like I had to focus so hard to do anything successful this week. And when it's hard, that's not the time to double down on stupid. It's the time to like actually try to be intelligent. Yeah, I teared down. I was trading like 5 and 10 contracts and under.
Yeah, Scott, this was definitely a week to adjust your expectations and trade small tiers until you had a little cushion, if you were able to even create a cushion.
Yeah, I could never create a cushion this week. I don't think I had any cushion all week each day. One day I did. Oh man, I mistraded so much this week. I was mad. Mistraded like
Well, to be fair, you've got a lot of distractions with other life events, so
I do.
okay.
But still, it's still like mm, not a fan of when I do stuff that kind of it's like man, because I really didn't think this week was that hard. For like I had the moves and I had the stuff. I just mistraded. Like and it was hard, so I'm not trying to say oh like it was totally, but like the moves were there and I caught the moves. But everything else, I think I let everything else kind of affect me and kind of put too much stress on me to trade good when I just needed to do what I did and I would have been fine. And that's what I'm kind of going to go into next week is just, hey, nothing you can do. Another lesson for new people and old people alike. It's like, I can't look at this week's losses and be like, man, like, that's just the cost of doing business. The money's gone. Like, it is what it is. You can't look back and be like, oh, if this, if that, if that. It's just you got to go forward with what you have, and you got to be intelligent with what you have, and not wish you had it back and trade like you're about to get it back. Almost revenge trading for the money.
Yeah, trying to like get your prior losses back is absolutely a recipe for disaster. You really do just have to take what the market's going to give you and know that if you trade smart, you're eventually going to get back to wherever you were and just surpass it.
What advice do I give myself on you? It depends on the day. I mean, the stuff I tell you guys is what I tell myself. Like, I'm not coming in here like I'm not a guru. I'm I'm not scammy guru. Geronimo's scammy guru. But like, I'm not coming in here like um, saying anything that I don't say to you guys. So like, what I say on the shows at night, or what I say to myself. What I say in chat during the day is what I'm saying to myself. I'm just repeating it to you guys. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not.
80% of what you hear people say on the mic, Anya, is us talking to ourselves.
Yeah, I'm just
Like
letting.
it sounds like we're giving you advice, but really we're reminding ourselves.
Yep. It's like I'm just talking out loud of my thoughts, and that might sound stupid or not stupid based on that day. Like, it's literally just like you're just hearing what I'm thinking at that moment. And even on these shows at night, like I've never scripted these shows or anything like that. Like sometimes like I have something I know I want to talk about going into it, and sometimes I just sit down and start talking. And what I'm saying to you and the people on here, or what people have told me, it's what I tell people that message me, it's what I tell myself. Like I don't create rules for you guys and then like different rules for myself. There's no secret to this. Like there's no secret to being a good trader in that sense. Like the secret is open. It's just discipline and consistency. Like there's 100 strategies that work. There's a lot of different ways to make money. There's a lot of different things you can do. Consistency, is the secret. So like all the stuff I talk about, all the stuff I say, all the stuff Mark talked about on his videos, like I just tell myself the same thing. I'm just like, hey, be smart. Don't try to get your money back. Tesla's not trading right well. I don't like this. Like I do, do this.
None of these names owe you anything. Um, Question from Martin here about what to do after a tough week to go into the next week without toxicity. The for sure, like do something you enjoy this weekend. Get some exercise. Have some fun so that you can really disconnect from how stressful a week it was. And we talked about last week, really try to zoom from the micro to the macro and look at the big picture of your success as a trader and what you can do to continue that success by, if necessary, tearing down until market conditions improve. You know, make small tweaks to your trading, but rest is super important. Like, don't spend all weekend looking at charts and obsessing over the market. If you want to review some trades, great, but time off is really important. And again, like zooming out and looking at the macro and realizing that you might have had a red week, but it doesn't matter because most of your weeks are green, hopefully. Gator?
Yeah, it's going into the next week and the next day refresh, like 0-0 mindset. Easier said than done. Sometimes it's micro goaling if I really blew out and I was bad and I'm still toxic and I can't get over it on the weekend. I was going to joke as soon as you started talking and been like, drink so much you can't remember it. But don't do that. Like, don't turn to anything like that. Don't do anything like that. As CT said about enjoying like the rest of your life over the weekend, realizing what trading can give you and what consistency in it can give you, and that a setback is just that, it's a setback, but it's not the end. Like if you can come back and trade on Monday, then you're not done and you're good. There are people after this week who aren't trading anymore or who are not going to trade for a while. You know, where are you at? You can come the next day, you can make it back, and it's not about making it back, but you can trade intelligently. I could look back at some of the other good weeks I've had and been like, man, like I know if I just trade smart, I'm going to be fine. And I try to go into that next week through the weekend, which is what I'm going to do after this week because I had a miserable week. Um, is just go into the week and be like, hey, nothing I can do about it. It is what it is. I'm just going to trade intelligently and let things go from there. So I don't know if that's like too cliche, but honestly, that's kind of what I do. And I do what CT said, which is zoom out and look at, hey, what do you do on the course of a month or like, a year, or what do I need to do? Like, hey, $300 a day. Hey, $500 a day. You can do this. Don't overtrade. Don't overthink it. Sit down. do what you know you can do, take smart setups, and then you're good.
Gator, can you switch over to my chart for 1 second? I'm going to try to
Yeah.
use a visual aid here. And oh, I'm going to have to slide this in a little bit. Okay,
I'll
great.
move us
So,
off.
Martin, if you envision your success kind of like a rally in a stock that just hopefully never ends, you just keep going up forever. You don't get from here to here with just green candles. You're going to have some red candles in there. And so you really do need to learn as a trader to accept that uh, obstacles and red days and possibly even red weeks are part of the process. And just as we don't just have an infinite stair step of green candles to the moon, there will be days in here where you might give some back and then you claw some back and then you give some back, and then maybe this is a whole, maybe you have a couple of weeks of chop where you're not really making money, but then trading gets really good. And try to look at the big picture. You got from here to here, and you had some difficult conditions. It's never just always going to be easy. So learning to accept the fact that there are challenges and ups and downs to the job helps you get a little bit less down on yourself when you come upon those obstacles, because it's just part of the process. Thanks, Gator, for the switching that chart for me.
Yeah. And you might just be and that sideways stretch there might just be you learning and you creating better habits. You might have had hard stuff pushing on your life from the outside there, and maybe on those big green candles where you like made back what you lost on the last 2 days, then that next day when you lost, you focused too much on the money and you thought you were going to have another massive day, and then you learned and then you learned, and you have to take the positives and realize that there are going to be down days, down weeks, and down months, and don't let them get out of hand. Stay controlled, stay disciplined, and it can continue to go up instead of dropping. And it could mean that, as far as your style, I don't
You're looking
know.
at Minaj's
Yeah,
comment there.
Menage's
Yeah,
comment.
so, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, we Gator touched on this earlier, that even though, like, take him and me as an example here, the vast majority of our green days are green, and we trade very similar in our styles. But there are certainly days when I'm red and Gator's green, and vice versa. So uh, you're going to have different results than everybody else, and you're just trying to improve your trading style. And when you do encounter a rough patch, figure out what you can take away from that to get better as market conditions continue to evolve.
And if you're trading good, then that might just mean you're being disciplined and you're not like slipping into what other people doing or tilting, and you're just taking a few good setups and you're trading intelligently and you're locking it in. So that just means you're trading good. You know, if you're green, you made more than I did, so there you go. you know, I
Yeah,
don't
there's always going to be days when when some people in the room are green and some people are red, and it just speaks to the fact that we all have our own unique styles and twists on what we do.
And it is, Martin. You do have to power through, and I don't think this is the exact same as like in the jujitsu place I go. They have like a sign like a black belt is just a white belt that never quit. I mean, that's like kind of true, but also not entirely true because you still have to learn the stuff. So it's like you could just keep throwing money at the market or just keep going to class and never try to take a belt. But generally, you get the idea is that if you stick around, you continue to grow, and you continue to persevere, you'll you'll be okay. You can be okay if you're around the right people, you're doing the right things, you're actually growing. It's
The
okay.
the the mentally strong, continue improving part of
Mm-hmm.
what you said there, Martin, which is that you know realizing that you really do need to accept the fact that there's no, oh, I made it, I'm forever gonna be successful now. You are gonna continually have to do work for potentially forever, for as long as you do this, and you do need mental strength to do that. And if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yeah. When I started trading, I was like, oh, trading is anybody could do this, and I still believe it in the sense of like anybody can,
But just like any other job, everybody can't because of everything else that comes with trading, the mental discipline. Like people think trading is just a home run and that, it's just going for the swinging for the fences all the time and making, because you watch the YouTube and the Instagrams and the stuff and you see, oh, 50 grand, 100 grand, people doing all this stuff. And so you actually think that that's what trading is. It's not. Like what you see
Online is not what real trading is. Like sometimes real trading is sitting there and is putting together like a really small day, like scalping and coming back from being red, or having red days, or having your P&L do this, like Jess is joking about. It's like, I'm doing okay. It's kind of hard. Okay, finally I'm making it back, and I'm stupid, and bam, then my P&L's down here instead of the Tesla one. And to be honest, this could happen. Like your P&L could look like this, and then boom, what are you gonna do now? Like really, then the question is, okay, what are you gonna do? Because it's there. You can whine and wish it was back up here all you wanted to, and that you weren't an idiot. Like who? Yeah, whatever. Nothing you can do about it. All you can do is go the next day and micro goal and start trading intelligently again, and make the choices to continue, and make the choices to make a smart decision the next day, and not try to get back to this level, but just, I'm just going to trade smart. I'm just going to trade smart. I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to learn. I'm going to, you know, what else can you do? You know,
And most definitely, if you have a drop like that, there's a lesson in there. So
you did.
you paid dearly for it, but make sure to learn from it.
It's the only thing you can do.
So Manoj, if you are consistently making money and then you give it all back in one day, I mean, it's the simplest of answers, but it's probably that you need to um, do what I've heard recommend. I mean, to have like obviously a daily stop loss, but the way you can arrive at that number is if you take like the average of your last 20 trading days, for instance. Um, let's say that you average $1,000 a day, and maybe you want your stop loss to be 1,000 or $1,500 so that it's easy to bounce back from a red day. And if you are green 9 out of 10 days, maybe you can have your stop loss be twice your daily average. If you're green 4 out of 5 days, maybe you want your stop loss to only be 1 times your daily average. And that way you can guarantee, or you can hopefully continue to grow your account over time. But you if you're giving back multiple days of green, you clearly need to have some rules in place. I think, in my personal opinion, Gator.
Yeah, I agree. Like that's why that P&L tracker and stuff on TradingView could be so helpful with your 30-day or month-long rolling average of your P&L and stuff, or if you do it in Excel or whatever. And like CT said, like, if you're consistently putting together 5, 10, 15 days, and then you give it all back in one day, why are you giving it all back in one day? Like, did you triple your size? Like, what did you do? So you did something to give it back. It's not like I was trading the exact same and I did nothing different. And I was, like you did something to lose that day. Like when I lose, I did something, or you did something over the course of 5 days. So I think something like that kind of rolling tracker, daily stop loss would be very helpful. If you had something like, hey, this is my average for the last 30 days. I'm only going to let myself lose my average or twice my average or something like that, or I don't know, 75% my average, and kind of put that in there until you actually stop doing that, and that'll help you not have those big Facebook down moves, and instead kind of have that little, oh, I'm having a hard spell, I'm not trading good. Because golfers, baseball players, basketball players, all these different people in sports, let me tell you something, they all go through slumps and they all go through hot streaks. No one can be 100% all the time. So the trick is to be hot at the right times. And if you're hard and you're not doing great, like, don't crash and burn. Like, have something to protect yourself from crashing and burning, so you can just
consistent, and yeah, I'm not doing good. I got to change stuff. I need to adjust my swing or my whatever it is and figure it out. Okay, that's why we say the consistent base hits. Okay, I figured it out. I figured it out. I figured it out. Okay, here we go. And then you can kind of get back into it. The worst thing you could do is go all in, on a bad hand, on a bad swing when you're not making contact and you can't figure anything out and you're having a bad day. And instead of just accepting that you're having a bad day, you're letting the ego of the last 5 or 6 days and like how you feel about those, like, I can't handle a losing day. I've been winning. I've got this. And you're doubling down on something that's not working that day. You're doubling
Yeah,
down on a loser.
I mean that's the double-edged sword of consistency, is that when you're green most days, it's very difficult to accept that you're just going to lock in a red day, because if you can be green most days, why can't you just make this day green? And if you're talking about, you commented in Discord here that once I get red, then it just starts accumulating. Yeah, so you just got to find that point where you're just going to walk away, and it's going to be a lot easier. It's going to feel a lot better the next day when you come back and you just zero out that red with a few good trades, versus thinking, God, I'm going to have to trade for 5 days, 10 days to make back what I just lost.
Yeah, and I've started putting in a like a stop loss, daily stop loss, just because I'm tired of blowing out. And I've started putting in, and like I don't need it per se, but I've started putting in stuff like that. I've started changing some things around to kind of help myself not blow out, because I care more about consistency than the big P&L days. Sure, that might mean that I don't get to come back and make back 10 grand, but you know what? It also stops me from ever having a $30,000-$40,000 down day, which is more important than taking, a certain percentage of my loss. And Chase, I use these strategies. Like I haven't stopped using them. Um, I've still like I've pretty much written the email back to you. Um, and I could probably actually do a show where I just answered your email, but it's about these different strategies and how they work. And I'm combining strategies based with the overall market and the feel. Like when we're range bound, you like a Mark 1 works, but every 5 minute breakout, every Mark 1 is not something. The know your limit 8s have, to me, been coinciding kind of with a 2 minute setup. Or the know your limit 8, especially in Tesla, works when the stochastic sets up. So it's like I really don't get much of a pop initially in this move, but when it coincides perfectly with another indicator like the Qs popping or like a stochastic setup, that's when those trades are working a little bit better for me. So I'm having consistency still with the C strategies. Like I haven't lost my consistency with them, and I'm still
Yeah, Chase,
using them.
I think that we're all pretty much still using the C strategies, but what we're doing is we're finding particular other indicators and things that can add to our conviction or detract from them on setups, and using a kind of collection of things that are happening simultaneously to decide when we're going to enter them. Because clearly, when Tesla is having just a crazy day, you don't care what the Qs are doing. You're just going to take that know your limit 8, or you're going to take that Mark 1 or whatever. But when things are difficult, you might not take that know your limit 8 or that Mark 1 unless the Qs are popping at the same time. Or, so as market conditions get easier or more difficult, you might need to use a bigger collection of data inputs in your decision-making process.
And
And I think that's what we're all doing.
yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. And are you taking a know your limit 8, which may or may not actually be a know your limit 8, but let's say it is, when the Qs just topped out and they're reversing, and Geronimo's like, they failed this breakout. I'm looking for them to go short. 2 points below is my target. In the middle of an overall like failed breakout, are you trying to take a know your limit 8? Or are you taking a know your limit 8 when it's actually trending? And there's a difference in like a failed breakout in the market and it hits a moving average, and a trend that is strong with good tape movement and proper like indicators and overall market sentiment on the day, to just every time an 8 hits after a chart reset. even if it reset on volume. Like, not all strategies at all different times in the day are created equal, especially on a day like today.
And Geronimo agrees, so we're speaking the truth.
If Uncle Jay agrees, then I'm
We have the
good.
J seal of approval.
That's the only one I need. I need like a Heineken hammer or something. So like whenever like Geronimo does something, this is a Geronimo approved trade, and I can just stamp it. Boom. Yeah, if anybody here is watching ever does want me or anybody else to review your trades, and you're willing to send either recording or timestamps, like you could just do timestamps. Like I can go back and look and be like, what's the trade here? And how did it move? And if I was trading the same thing, I'm probably recording my screen. I can go back and look if I recorded it and if I traded that and see how I traded it.
Yeah, I think honestly, even just reviewing one or two trades a day, it's sometimes tough to go over like an entire day of trading for someone, but you'd be amazed at what you can learn when when somebody else looks at your setup and their analysis might vary greatly from yours.
That's why having a lot of people, or not a lot on the mic, but being in a room trading with other people that are successful helps you become better, as you don't know everything. And as this, I don't know if you've gone through this, CT, but like the responsibility of being on a mic and making the calls and the trade outs and stuff like that, like there's like a certain level of ego that can come into play, or like not wanting to be wrong, and the fear of like telling people something that's not going to work, or you know all this other stuff that can kind of come into being the guy that's calling stuff out and naming strategies and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is something that is obviously in the back of your mind. Which which is why you so often hear us qualify our analyses with, oh, this might be good for a low conviction this or a low conviction that, and it is tough because there probably are going to be people who maybe aren't proficient enough to be doing what they're doing and should just be practicing in a small tier and aren't doing that. And hopefully people aren't getting hurt from that because we're not giving trading advice or anything. We're just entertaining people. So yeah, it's tough. And I filter my call outs or things that I'm looking at through that lens of, something that maybe is less conviction-y I might keep to myself for sure.
I probably trade about 4 times the amount of stuff that I actually call out. You know, just because they're not all the same conviction and they're not all something I would recommend people taking and stuff. Amazon didn't make me red. I actually don't remember. I just over traded again, like sat down late, took some losing trades, all the front run losses in Tesla, and then I stopped trading it. Made some back, but it's just I couldn't put enough wins together to kind of like come back, and I could put a few together, and I ended on some good trades, so I was fine. But I just couldn't string enough of them together at any point in the day to get back.
Yeah, for me, I was up probably like a grand or so or thereabouts very early into the day, maybe like 10 or 15 minutes, and I took a Facebook trade that I lost kind of what seemed like a large amount per contract for what the trade was, and that put me red, and I took maybe one or two other small trades that didn't work out after that, and then I just resolved to take very like micro goal trades just to get myself back to green, and then spent the rest of the day sort of wobbling between small green and small red, and was able to get that at the end of the day. I was like three figures green. It's up like $3 at the 15 minutes before the close and took one last Amazon trade to get me up to that huge $148 level that I
There you
closed out
go.
with today. Sick day.
It's the way to do it. That's still technically a good day for most jobs.
Oh yeah, you got to remind yourself that. I mean, what is that, $20 an hour or something? So,
Yeah, you got paid 20
and
bucks an hour to sit at your computer.
word.
And Chase, it's probably because you're more analytical, and before 11, there's more volume, and you don't have the time to, like, good traders necessarily who are making money aren't like, I'm taking the information in quick, I'm just slamming stuff, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, you trade better later in the day because you're a very analytical trader. And the market action slows down. You're not getting all the ups and downs. It's like you can see the trends and the rules that are happening. You can take them and then take your money, as opposed to the other way around, um, where early on you don't slam things as well and you don't hit the trend as hard. So you don't trade the trend as well as you trade like a range or slower moving setups. Like with me, like I hate trading slow moving setups. I want to get in it, with the exception of Google, and I just want to smash the crap out of it and just ride that wave until it crashes. And it's just probably because you're more analytical, you're just better than, and you could just recognize that and be like, I'm just not going to do much early, and I'm going to trade in the afternoon. And if you're green, man, you don't have to trade you don't have to trade early. That just means you get to sleep in till 11.
Yeah, the
Congrats.
fact that you have this clear idea in your head that you're losing early and making money after 11, that tells me that you're looking at your data and you're being diligent about tracking your trades. And so just what Gator said, either don't trade or tear down early in the morning, maybe watch the market just to know what you're getting into when 11 a.m. does come, and trade the part of the day that works best for you. And again, that's why we're doing these P&L trackers and everything, so everyone can find out what works for them, because it's not going to be the same for everyone.
This week didn't work for me. I'll have you know. I'm just trying to find what works for you. It wasn't that bad, but I like to joke. Yep. You have all your layers of rules, and that really works in the middle of the day. It doesn't work in the morning because I make money when there's a trend breaking the rules, because like if there's 10 rules to take a trade, and then after this I think we'll probably head out unless you guys have a question, throw a question. If not, we'll call it after this. In the middle of the day, you have to follow the rules to make money. You have to have all those things set up. In the morning, you don't. Like if half the rules are there, I make money. Like if I have 10 rules to enter a trade, if 3 of them happen, I can make money in the morning if there's a trend. In the afternoon,
Well,
I need like all of them to be set up.
and to add to that, Gator, it may be that if you've got your set of rules, that it may be when the market's volatile and moving fast, it's harder for you to confirm that all of your conditions have been met. So you need things to slow down so that you can confirm everything is lining up for you to take that good trade. So just learning learning yourself and learning what works for you, because as I've said 100 bazillion times, everybody's different, and what works for me might not be what works for you. So you're definitely on the right path here, because you can tell us what is and what isn't working. So now you just need to act upon that.
Yep. And all in all, if you're like, hey, I can win after 11, I'd be like, okay, trade after 11.
Sleeping in.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Like, if you can win and you know something that you can win in, do it, man. So, I mean, that's, we could be going about an hour and 45 minutes, guys. I appreciate you coming and hanging out. Not any specific, topic today, just kind of talking, generally speaking. So, hope you enjoyed it. If you have anything for us next week, you can always hit us up. I appreciate you hanging out. I appreciate you supporting us. If you did, do the whole like, share thing if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You got anything, CT?
I was gonna say like and subscribe, but you took it from me. But yeah, we appreciate everybody spending time with us. It really is nice hanging out with all of you outside of market hours, especially after a tough week like this, and decompressing. And again, enjoy your weekend, do what you love, and we will see you on Monday morning, and we'll do it all again, hopefully under better conditions.
Yep. I'll see you guys Monday. Trade smart, relax, enjoy the weekend. Nothing you can do about what happened. The only thing you can fix is what's going to happen next. Come in clean. Come in clean next week, and trade better. See you guys